Shalom, welcome to the Jewish Task Force, J.T.F. My name is Chaim Ben Pesach. On this week's program, we're going to explain why President Trump is right when he says that the so-called Israeli lobby, AIPAC, has lost its power, that it no longer has sway over Congress. We're going to explain why AIPAC is a traitor lobby that harms Israel. It's not the pro-Israel lobby. It's a harmful lobby that hurts Israel, and what a real Jewish lobby would do. We're going to explain all the terrible things they've done in AIPAC, some of the things you won't even believe that they've been doing, and how they have ruined, they together with the traitor government in Israel, have ruined what was once a lot of support for Israel in the United States among the American people. And the only way to stop this hemorrhaging is for a true Jewish lobby and a true Jewish movement to come forward to explain the real situation to the American people. But before we get to that, this program is dedicated to Refuah Shlema, complete recovery for Shlomo ben Sarah, Ruth bat Sarah, Dorit bat Sarah, Reuven ben Shoshana, and Ashedina bat Violet, and to Ilui Neshamot, elevating of the souls for Betzalel ben Mordechai, Sharon Mitman, Malka bat Meir, Allegra bat Shlomo, Daniel 19, Victor Chazdai, Pesach Zeh ben Dov, Lonita Adler, Shifra Hoffman, Reuven Hoffman, Barry Hoffman, Harab Mir Kahana, Rab Binyamin Kahana, Tzipora Fegi bat Liba, Yosef ben Meir, Robert Mitman, Dennis Shore, Helen Friedman, Charles Zolat, Yair Lavin, Rachel D., and David ben Avraham. President Trump says that the Israeli lobby has lost its power, no longer has sway over Congress. And the so-called Israeli lobby, which is AIPAC. AIPAC stands for American Israel Public Affairs Committee, an organization of left-wing, self-hating, assimilated, evil Jews that undermine Israel's cause. These evil traitors who call themselves the pro-Israel lobby, one of the first things they say in their platform is that they support a so-called two-state solution. In other words, they support creating an independent Palestinian terrorist state, which would put Israel in boundaries that are only 6 to 9 miles wide, which would be absolute suicide for Israel. Just insanity for Israel. It would lead to a Holocaust, God forbid. And this is what the AIPAC traitors support. And by the way, there is no two-state solution because the Muslims already have 57 states, many of them huge countries. Well, there's only one tiny little Jewish state, and they instead of 57 Muslim states, they want 58 in place of the one tiny little Jewish country. One little Jewish country is too much for the Muslim world and for self-hating Jews as well. That's too much. But 58 Muslim countries, that's fine. And that's what they support, national suicide for Israel. Israel in boundaries that are 6 to 9 miles wide. Israel in borders that even the former Foreign Minister of Israel, the left-wing former Foreign Minister of Israel, Abba Eban, described as Auschwitz lines, suicide lines. Golda Meir, the left-wing socialist Prime Minister of Israel, said any Jew who supports this plan to go to these boundary lines would have to be a boged, a traitor, she said. Boged in Hebrew is traitor. But that's what AIPAC supports. And that's the so-called pro-Israel lobby. Can you imagine? Those are the people arguing on behalf of Israel. The main function of AIPAC over the years has been to lobby for the very unpopular foreign aid bill. Every time the foreign aid bill comes before Congress, it's extremely unpopular. Polls show that as much as 90% or more of the American people are against wasting American foreign aid and giving American foreign aid to countries that in most cases hate the United States. And the American people are right. There should be no foreign aid. All foreign aid from the U.S. should stop. It's bad, it's destructive, it's harmful. And it's very bad for Israel. Israel does not need the $3.8 billion in foreign aid that she receives every year. She doesn't need it, and the strings that are attached, the conditions that are attached to that foreign aid make it impossible for Israel to earn tens of billions of dollars in trade deals, which they could be making with India and dozens of other countries that want Israeli technology and want to deal with Israel. But the United States vetoes it and has the power to veto it under the terms of the so-called foreign aid that is given to Israel. It is the worst, most harmful thing to Israel. Now, AIPAC, though, does not lobby just for foreign aid for Israel. AIPAC lobbies for the whole foreign aid bill, for everybody, including Israel's enemies. Why does AIPAC have to lobby? If AIPAC is supposed to be the pro-Israel lobby, why don't they just lobby for foreign aid for Israel? Why do they lobby for foreign aid for dozens of countries, for the UN, for the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank, and things that lead to hundreds of the wasting of hundreds of billions of American tax dollars going to America's enemies? Why does AIPAC all these years lobby for such something so terrible? What they want is just $3.8 billion for Israel, which is very small compared to the hundreds of billions of dollars that go to all of these other things in the foreign aid bill. Israel's portion is very tiny in the foreign aid bill, maybe 1 or 2% of the total foreign aid picture in the United States, if you include the IMF and the World Bank and the UN and all the international agencies. What Israel gets is maybe 1 or 2% of the total. Why do they lobby for the whole thing? And why do they threaten members of Congress and the Senate? If you don't vote for this, we're going to raise money against you, and we're going to primary you. And they've done that to senators and congressmen that don't vote the way they want. Why is this being done? Because if you lobby just for foreign aid for Israel, the rest of the foreign aid package is very unpopular and probably wouldn't pass. And so what they do is they say, we have to, if we want foreign aid for Israel, we got to pass the whole foreign aid bill. Otherwise, Israel won't get the foreign aid. Now, why would they do this? Why don't they just say, okay, just foreign aid for Israel and no foreign aid for anybody else? Okay, and by the way, we're against so-called foreign aid, even for Israel. But why do they have to insist that it goes to everybody else? Because they're so afraid that if Israel gets foreign aid, and it's not together with dozens of other countries that get foreign aid, they're going to say, oh, the Jews get foreign aid and nobody else does. You see the influence the Jews have on the government. They're so afraid of that they want to make sure that Israel's foreign aid is included in a giant package of foreign aid to dozens and dozens and dozens of other countries and international organizations. And so they wind up blowing hundreds of billions of dollars in money just so that Israel will get the $3.8 billion, and it won't look like Israel alone is getting the foreign aid. Israel's not alone. Israel is part of a bigger package. They want it to look like that. That's what's important to them. Now, it's so insane. So insane. And by the way, what they do doesn't help anyway, because the American people still think that Israel is getting more foreign aid than anyone, which is not true, and that Israel gets a huge percentage of the foreign aid, which is not true. Israel does not get a huge percentage. Israel gets much less than countries like Ukraine or than the World Bank or International Monetary Fund, which gives out hundreds of billions of dollars in loans to third world countries that never repay even the interest on the loan, let alone the principal. The so-called loans given out by American taxpayers and all these organizations that American taxpayers underwrite, the so-called loans, which were been given out dozens of years ago, America never gets repaid for that. Never. They renege on everything, and they say, well, we can't afford it. So they give them another loan to pay for the old loan, another loan to pay for the old loan. What a con job this is. And the Israeli lobbies for foreign aid, wants all the foreign aid bills to be passed, everything, even for Israel's enemies. When Trump in his first term wanted to cut off so-called foreign aid to the PLO, to others, AIPAC didn't like that. They want foreign aid even for Israel's murderous enemies, because they want Israel to continue to get the foreign aid. They know that Israel is perfectly capable of surviving and even prospering without the foreign aid. In fact, Israel will be stronger and better off without the foreign aid. The so-called foreign aid hurts Israel, but they want Israel to be totally dependent on the United States. Why? And Netanyahu and the Israeli military and the Israeli government, all of whom are traitors, by the way, they want Israel to be totally dependent on the United States. Because, first of all, they believe that if Israel's alone, Israel can't survive without without a connection to America. So they want this connection to take place, even though it's bad for Israel, and even though the only way Israel can survive is if she's alone. And the only time Israel won victories in the wars and was really triumphed was when she did it alone. When she did it with America, she never and was dependent on America. She's been unable to win any wars since she has become dependent on America. She has not been able to win a single war since the 1967 Six-Day War, when Israel got nothing from America, and before that Israel got nothing from America. 1948, 1956 wars, nothing from America. Israel won decisive victories then. The minute Israel became dependent on American foreign aid, Israel has not won a single war since then. Even the war in Iran against Iran's nuclear bomb-making program, Israel was on the verge of winning when she was doing it alone, but Netanyahu had to beg Trump to come in and bring the U.S. in and bomb one of the Iranian nuclear sites. And because of that, we don't know how much the Iranians still have left of their nuclear program. If Israel had done it alone, Israel could have made sure that the entire nuclear program would have been destroyed. But that didn't happen because the United States had to come in with a big show of force and bomb one of the sites, which didn't necessarily destroy everything. There's a good chance that some important nuclear material was not destroyed. And Netanyahu always never misses an opportunity. Netanyahu, the Israeli military, the Israeli news media, and the Israeli lobby, they never miss an opportunity to wreck anything good that Israel was going to do. They always manage to do that because they all want Israel completely slavishly dependent on the United States, because they themselves, some of them are bought and paid for. Some of them are bought and paid for by organizations run by George Soros and other organizations, international panels and study groups and university groups that pay them off when they retire from politics, or that pay them off for lectures and all types of other things. They earn millions of dollars with lectures and being part of panels and giving expert analysis. And they're paid off. And that won't happen if Israel is no longer dependent on the United States. That situation will be endangered for them. So their own personal enrichment comes before the survival of the Jewish people. And that really is what happens. They are bought and paid. A lot of these generals and leaders in Israel are bought and paid for. Now, Netanyahu and AIPAC, among the things that Netanyahu and AIPAC do, is they always suck up to all of Israel's enemies. Always. One of the purposes of the so-called pro-Israel lobby is for the Jews to suck up to all of her enemies, to all the anti-Semites. They bring anti-Semites who made anti-Semitic remarks to Israel on free five-star hotel visits to Israel to show them, you see, you were wrong. We're going to give you a tour of the Holocaust Museum, and it'll make you sensitive. And so Netanyahu and AIPAC, they suck up to all of Israel's enemies. And I'll give you an illustration of how obscene this is. AIPAC has PACs, political action committees, PACs, that it has created so that it can contribute money to political campaigns. And these PACs are associated with AIPAC. And they work with AIPAC. And these AIPAC PACs have given tens of millions of dollars, at least tens of millions of dollars, to hundreds of Democrats in both houses of Congress. All these Democrats that are anti-Semites, that are anti-Israel, that support Israel, these Mamdani Democrats who want Israel destroyed, who support sanctions against Israel, who accuse Israel of genocide and apartheid and support BDS. Hundreds of Democrats. I mean, the Democrat Party is just a party of vicious anti-Semites. Don't tell that to AIPAC, though, because the leaders of AIPAC are all Democrats, are all left-wing Democrats themselves. And they give at least tens of millions, and it's probably running into hundreds of millions already, but at least tens of millions in recent election cycles to Democrats in both houses of Congress. We had in one of the recent elections, we did a video on this, how AIPAC gave money, contributed money, AIPAC-affiliated PACs contributed money to 140 Democrat anti-Semites in the House. just in the House, 140, and just in one election cycle, 140 Democrats got money from AIPAC affiliated PACs. Democrats, the party that supports sanctioning Israel, that supports pushing Israel back to suicidal, indefensible borders, that supports a so-called Palestinian state. By the way, there is no Palestine. There are no Palestinians. That's a historical hoax. Although AIPAC claims that there is. AIPAC supports all the narratives of our enemies. And they give their money to enemies of Israel. Now, you may wonder, if that's true, then why is it that every time I see an AIPAC convention, most of the men there have kippot, are religious? And the people that are involved with AIPAC, a lot of them are Orthodox Jews who care about Israel because they're stupid. They are stupid. They're cowards and they're stupid. They're too cowardly to think of an Israel going without American aid. They're cowards. They want to lean on America. Oh, without America, we can't survive 5 minutes. So they're cowards and they're stupid. And I've sometimes spoken to some of these stupid people and told them, hey, just look at AIPAC's website. Look at their platform. They support a Palestinian terrorist state, which 90% of Israeli Jews know that would be suicide for Israel. And this is what the AIPAC is supporting. This is a pro-Israel lobby that you're helping. And they say, well, yeah, but at least they fight for foreign aid. Israel has to have the foreign aid. I mean, there are certain people that are beyond stupid. There are Jews who, after thousands of years of living in the exile, are so damn stupid that they're just beyond stupid. And please don't tell me I should be nicer. I should be. You know how many Jews have been murdered because of these people? You know how much Jewish blood has been spilled because of these people? I'm being too nice. Believe me, I'm being very nice. Too nice. What would a real Israeli lobby do? What if J.T.F. instead of AIPAC was the Israel lobby? Oh, what a dream come true that would be. If J.T.F. was the lobby instead of AIPAC, we would lobby against all foreign aid, including foreign aid to Israel. Israel must be independent. Israel has the brain power and the technology and the ability to go independent. First of all, 50% of Israeli weaponry is already produced within Israel. They produce already about 50% of all their weapons by themselves, including the Merkava tank, which is the best tank in the world. A lot of the weaponry they produce is the best weaponry that any country produces, bar none, the best. And a lot of it is produced entirely within Israel. And they can easily produce all of it. A country that built 200 nuclear bombs, okay? And I'm talking about advanced nuclear bombs that could kill tens of millions of people. A country that did that, which Israel does have, by the way, even though they don't want to acknowledge it for all types of reasons. They have it, believe me. Everybody knows they have it. A country that did that can also produce machine guns, and can also produce shells for tanks, and can also produce jet fighters, or can take existing jet fighters and improve them. And by the way, every time the United States sends Israel jet fighters, which cost Israel tens of billions of dollars, insane for this little country, their military appropriations are so distorted because they're forced by American aid to purchase certain types of weapons, even. I mean, they're not even allowed to purchase what they want to purchase. Every time they get an American jet fighter, let's say, an F-15, F-16, whatever, F-35, every time they get an American jet fighter, the Israelis, with their technology, make major improvements on it. I'm not saying that American technology is very advanced. You got Jewish scientists in America working on American technology. Remember that. I'm not saying, but by the way, I'm not saying that there aren't. Of course, there are non-Jewish scientists who are brilliant, who are geniuses. But the Jews are just a brilliant people in technology. They're just a nation of geniuses when it comes to technology. I mean, it's just the fact. And Israel has the capacity to, and the United States doesn't want this because the United States doesn't want competition in terms of making arms and selling arms. And Israel, even though it's a tiny little country with a much smaller budget, because of Jewish brain power, they could become competitors. For instance, they're producing lasers that in some cases are more advanced than American lasers. Battlefield lasers in conventional warfare that are more advanced than American battlefield lasers. And by the way, if you're wondering, we American patriots shouldn't want Israel to become competitive. The American people don't benefit, and America doesn't benefit by the arms production because America has become a country where the only people who benefit are multinational corporations that are not loyal to America. The corporations that produce American weaponry, most of them are multinational corporations that have no loyalty to the United States whatsoever. And therefore, they lobby to send their weapons to enemies of the United States, which they frequently do. A real Israeli lobby would say no more foreign aid to Israel and no more foreign aid to anyone. No more foreign aid to the dozens of countries who hate America and who get huge sums of money. No more foreign aid to the United Nations, the United Nazi Nations, an organization that is viciously anti-American, viciously anti-Semitic, just an evil organization. No more foreign aid to them, and they can move their headquarters to Europe if the Europeans love them so much. No more foreign aid or foreign loans for the World Bank, International Monetary Fund. There, we're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars that have been given out. No more. No more. And pay your damn loans off now, or else you'll be sanctioned. Pay the damn loans off that you owe us already, or you'll be sanctioned. And if you and we're not giving you any more. You get no more, not another penny. That's what a real Israeli lobby should say. You know what a real Israeli lobby would do if we had an Israeli lobby like that working together with our friends in the evangelical Christian community? Do you know what we could do? We could save the American people hundreds of billions of dollars. Hundreds of billions of dollars. This would be a safer world, a better world, a more stable world if we didn't have the distortions of foreign aid in this new world order lunacy that we have, that the Washington New World Order people and the Washington deep state people impose upon the world. And not just no more foreign aid from the United States to Israel or to anyone else. No more U.S. intervention. Stay out of the Middle East. Stay out. Let Israel can fight for herself. Thank you very much. Israel will fight for herself. That was always Israel's rule until Netanyahu came in and begged Trump to intervene in Iran. Israel always fought her own battles. Israel will fight for herself. No more U.S. intervention. No more wars like Iraq and Afghanistan and all these other wars. No more of this. No more occupying countries for regime change. No more. If the United States is attacked, then the United States, of course, has to defend itself. But unless the United States is attacked, the United States is not going to be intervening and policing and become the policeman of the world, intervening everywhere all over the world. That's what an Israeli lobby should say and stand for. And that would be the best thing for America. It would be the best thing for Israel. It would be the best thing for the world, for the decent people of the world, not for the evil people. The evil people would suffer if that happened because the evil people benefit by these deep state interventions that they push and get the American military to go into these deep state interventions that are harmful to America and to the world. Now, if you had an Israeli lobby and Jewish organizations that instead of constantly appearing before the American people to convince them to shell out huge amounts of money to all these foreign countries that hate America, instead of having Jewish spokesmen doing that all the time, if you had Jewish spokesmen like us in J.T.F. saying, we're going to fight that, we wanted you to join us in fighting that and saying, no more, no more. Can you imagine how popular the Jewish lobby would become? And can you imagine how much good we could do for Israel? We could do good for Israel, for America, for the whole world. If only we did what God commands us to do. Am levadad yishkonu v'goyim lo yitchashav. It says, and the translation of that Hebrew in the Bible is, this is a nation that shall dwell alone and not be reckoned among the nations. When Israel is alone and wins victories alone, it is a Kiddush Hashem, it's sanctifying God's name. That's what we were meant to do when we're alone. Because if we win victories, but America comes in and helps us, then they say, oh, it's because of American foreign aid. Or it's because without America, you couldn't do it. Yeah, that's a Chilul Hashem, that's a desecration of God's name. But when Israel's all alone and wins these great victories, and when I say Israel's all alone, of course, Israel will have a lot of trade with many, many countries. In fact, Israel will have more trade and have more exchanges and will earn far more money without U.S. foreign aid. Far more, because the U.S. will not be there, the U.S. government will not be there to impose a veto on Israeli deals, let's say, with India or with other countries in the world who want Israeli products and Israeli know-how and want to have exchanges. They want to have trade exchanges with Israel. And so Israel will have much more trade with many more countries and be far more open without foreign aid. Israel is a nation that shall dwell alone means that when it comes time for war and when it comes time for Jewish survival, the Jews will know that they have only one ally, Hashem, the God of Israel. He is the ally of Israel. And when he gives victory to the Jews, he does so to show the Jews and all of the righteous Gentiles in every country, the righteous Gentiles who believe in God, that there's a God who controls the destiny of the world, that there's a God who's more powerful than all the nations and rulers of the world, that there's a God who's much more powerful than the deep state, that there's a God who gives real aid to countries, not foreign aid from human beings who have nefarious intentions and attach all types of attachments and strings to it that are harmful. No, God gives real aid to countries that turn to him. If Israel did that, as she did do from 1948 to 1967, that Israel was winning unbelievable, miraculous, breathtaking victories. And Israel at that time was much smaller and much poorer and much weaker than she is today. Now she could do it on a much greater scale. In those days, even in 1948, there were only 600,000 Jews in Israel. In 1967, there were 2.5 million Jews in Israel. Now there are over 7 million. Israel is bigger, stronger, and more capable than ever of doing what she's supposed to do alone. Fighting for her survival, that she should do alone. Trade, yes. Relations with other countries, yes. But depending on them for her survival, never, never. We depend on ourselves and we depend on Hashem. And if righteous Gentiles want to help Israel, we need your prayers. And we need you, and if you want to support good causes in Israel, that's fine. Privately, on a private basis. We don't want deep state government money. But on a private basis, you want to support good causes in Israel, that's fine. If you're a righteous Gentile and you want God's blessings, that's fine. And we want your prayers. But we don't want foreign aid from the deep state government. That we don't want under any circumstances. Now, there's one group of Jews in Israel that represent that independent spirit that's needed to once again make the Jews what they were destined to be, so that the Jews could be a light unto the nations and a holy nation, a nation of priests, a nation that will inspire the righteous of the world, the righteous Gentiles of the world, to do what must be done in their own countries as well. And that great group of Jews are the heroic Hilltop youth. Here, 100% of J.T.F's budget goes to the Hilltop youth. No, we're not like AIPAC. We don't give money to Democrat congressmen and other anti-Semites. We give money to Jews that are on the front line to prevent the Palestinian terrorist state from coming into being, that put their lives on the line to protect the Jews of Israel, that are on the front line protecting the Jews of Israel. That's where our money goes. And you can help, and you should help. If you want to help the heroic Hilltop youth, you go to our Hebrew main page, which is hayamin.org. And on hayamin.org, you go to there's a donate button in English on top. Most of the page is in Hebrew, but the donate button on top is in English. You click on the donate button, And there you can make recurring monthly donations or one-time donations or both. That's if you want to donate online. If you want to do it through the regular mail, you make checks and money orders out to J.T.F. and you send it to the J.T.F. P.O. Box, which is J.T.F. P.O. Box 650327, Fresh Meadows, New York 11365. And of course, you should leave J.T.F. in your will. You want to make this a better world when you leave this world. Our whole purpose of being put in this world is not to depend on foreign countries and foreign leaders and deep state institutions. That's not our purpose in this world. Our purpose is to sanctify God's name and to show the world that we have to live lives of morality and truth and love and kindness and righteousness and justice, and that we have to bring this light to all nations of the world. That's our purpose in this world, for Jews and for righteous Gentiles. And if we live that type of life, then life is worth living. For J.T.F. until next week, this is Chaim Ben Pesach. Shalom.